The story of mass incarceration will be told through music and drama Thursday, June 9th at the Museum of African American History on Beacon Hill. The presentation is by Castle of Our Skins, a project that celebrates Black artistry as well as cultural curiosity. We'd like to welcome two of the performers from Castle of Our Skins, the artistic director, Ashleigh Gordon, and the associate director, Anthony Green. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having us.
I want to start with you, Anthony. This performance is part of a whole series, the Freedom Rising series at the African Meeting House. And talk about the theme here, mass incarceration, and start with the scale of this.
Yes, so the scale of the performance will include 2 narrators and 4 musicians. And this whole presentation started actually kind of through a personal connection. So a family member of mine was recently in prison, and he's out right now, luckily, and he's also a very talented poet. And I had just been ruminating over the hundreds and thousands of poems that prisoners must be writing and the power in those words and just the whole system of mass incarceration throughout history. With our partnership with the Museum of African American History, it just seemed like a perfect opportunity to explore this system, this brutal characteristic of the United States, and weave in poetry of the incarcerated as well as music and narration.
Ashleigh, normally you celebrate Black artistry and Black achievement, and this is achievement under a lot of adversity.
It certainly is. So musically, throughout this entire program, we will be certainly highlighting music by current composers, Renee Baker, who's in Chicago, African-American composer, Jeffrey Mumford, a personal mentor of mine who's in Cleveland. So musically, we are certainly highlighting and celebrating their works as well, and it's in the context of certainly presenting their music. There is certainly much more to an African American experience or an American experience than just pure celebration. So it is a heavy-handed subject, but one that is very, very much close to.
And we're going to show you an excerpt from one of the pieces being played. This is by the American composer Frederick Jetski. Anthony, the Jetski piece is called Attica, and this is about the uprising in 1971, I guess.
Yes, the whole piece is called Coming Together, and the second movement is Attica, so we're just performing the second movement.
For people who are too young, maybe, talk about that uprising, because it was a time of upheaval. It was put down in a very brutal fashion. Still a lot of questions about how that was worked out.
Definitely. So this uprising happened in 1971. It was basically sparked by the murder of a Black Panther activist named George Jackson. He was murdered at the hands of racist white security officers in the Attica prison. And the prisoners decided to stand up for their rights, for their living conditions, and just demand more of the people who ran Attica. Unfortunately, the governor and a lot of the leaders of the prison only agreed to 28 of their list of demands, and they also decided not to excuse the prisoners for taking over the prison. And in the giant scuffle that ensued, 48 people died, and 33 of them were prisoners. If you read accounts from it, especially the accounts from the governor and people on that side of the story, they say that the prisoners were just unruly. And then other accounts say that mass murder happened and most of the victims were prisoners. So it's still a very dubious issue, but it's one full of politics.
Actually, why treat politics with music in poetry? Because how does this change the way people process what's going on even right now?
Well, I think one large aspect of what we are trying to do with our Concert Educational Series is education, and what we do best is through music, and to be able to create a inviting, safe space that has multiple entrance points, whether music is your thing, whether narration, spoken word is your thing, whether something that is culturally sensitive or politically sensitive, hoping to create a multifaceted experience so that more dialogue can happen in a safe space.
Anthony, what about the choices? A lot of these pieces, I know Rzewski's may be an exception, but the other pieces, a lot of them don't explicitly say anything political, and yes, I guess maybe intuitively you feel they are political.
Yes, definitely. A lot of the pieces that were chosen for this program have the feeling, have the emotional impact and that sense of urgency that I was looking for to pair with both the narration and the powerful poetry of the prisoners. And while there aren't a lot of pieces for small chamber ensemble that have that theme of prison specifically, I think the nature of injustice in Black composers, that aura, that feeling is in a lot of their music. And the pieces that we chose have that feeling.
Actually, what about the one piece I think you're probably going to be playing by Jeffrey Mumford? Has an evocative title.
Yes.
And the bass part, it snarls almost like Charles Mingus.
Yes. So Jeffrey Mumford, as I had mentioned, he's a personal mentor of mine, and his self-described style is reflective of clouds. So some object that is certainly not tangible and is slowly evolving and shifting, and through a different angle that you look at it, a different light, it can have a variety of impressions. His piece is very much filled with, as a student of Elliott Carter, lush sort of melodies that are very beautiful, some kind of chaotic dissonance as well, but there's this sharp juxtaposition. And researching some of the poems from the incarcerated, there's this internal conflict, back and forth, back and forth. I want to be redeemed, but I'm cast off from society, and I feel like I've changed my ways, but I'm still a criminal. And this internal conflict is very much embedded in his piece, which is certainly serendipitous for us, and a world premiere also on the program by Renee Baker, who is very adamant, be encouraged by the subject that you're exploring and put it into music with the piece that she wrote for us. So.
Yes, you talk about the context, because you could hear this music in a concert hall, and you can hear it in a lot of churches too, but this is a very historic location where people are going to be. Put the audience in that place and what this means.
Yes, so the space will be the first African American meeting house in the United States. And in this meeting house, we had a lot of luminaries speak here, including Frederick Douglass. So the space is powerful. It has such a strong historical significance. And this will be our second performance in that space. And I just remember last year for our first performance, I remember feeling like I was a part of something much bigger, just given the history that happened in this space.
And Ashleigh, we should make sure we tell people the details about when this is going to be on the 9th.
Yes, so Thursday, June 9th at the African Meeting House, 46 Joyce Street, downtown Beacon Hill. And the actual concert program with the narration and the music will happen at 7 o'clock. And we're going to hopefully encourage people to come early and mingle and start their dialogue sooner. 6 o'clock, there will be some self-guided education stations to sort of get your mind in gear with the subjects that we're going to be presenting.
And of course, you've got some more details on social media people can check out as well.
Yes, follow us on Twitter at Castle Skins. You can find information there. We're also on Facebook, and our website is castle-of-r-skins.com. Thanks.
Ashleigh Gordon and Anthony Green from Castle of Our Skins.